Hello folks, it's me, DeMontropolis, and today I'm revisiting Mega Man 2 to cover a weapon guide. Basically what I'm gonna do is cover each of the weapons and utilities in this game and run down their statistics. From there, I'm going to highlight specific enemy matchups where each weapon performs exceptionally well, or has something noteworthy to mention. I will also provide some interesting tips and tricks about the game where I see fit, a few of which may not even be related to weapons, just stuff I figured I'd share. In the case of Mega Man 2, the weapons are a mixed bag going off of how consistent their strengths are and how long you can use them before they run out. Some of them are limitless no-brainers, but others require a bit more practicality or they will just ding off the wrong enemy. Regardless, every enemy is weak to at least one weapon, and every weapon has its fair share of uses. So without further ado, let me give you the lowdown. Mega Man 2 has 8 weapons and 3 utilities. The 8 weapons are Metal Blade, Air Shooter, Bubble Lead, Quick Boomerang, Crash Bomber, Time Stopper, Atomic Fire, and Leaf Shield, while the utilities are appropriately labeled Item 1, Item 2, and Item 3. To calculate the most efficient areas where each weapon or utility can be used, I wrote up a log for the total number of enemies, possible gimmick interactions, and the number of valuable goodies in the game, like 1-ups and E-tanks. From there, I picked out the most noteworthy interactions to delve into with each of the game's arsenal. I should also mention 2 things. I'm basing all these damage values only through difficult mode, and I'm not covering boss fights here. I already did that in my boss guide, link in the description. I'm going to run this down by Robot Master serial number order, so to begin, let's start with Metal Blade. The signature weapon of Metal Man is one of the most famous in the entire series. A circular razor-edge saw blade that dwarfs the Mega Buster in size, this weapon is thrown in a straight line forward by default. It's also multi-directional, any of the 8 directions are applicable. Metal Blades also pierce through enemies that it kills, but still bounces off of defenses, and this applies for every weapon in the game. You can throw up to 3 Metal Blades on screen, and by costing a quarter unit of ammo, you normally have 112 uses of the weapon before you run out. Sounds awesome, right? Well, the fun doesn't end there. Metal Blade has a few exploits to further push its use. In being a weapon that uses decimal ammo, there's a pause trick you can do. If you throw 3 or less blades, then pause and unpause the game, the current unit of ammo resets that decimal counter, essentially giving you infinite Metal Blades if you keep doing this. You can also place a stationary Metal Blade right where you are if you press up, down, and shoot at the exact same time. This one is not as practical though, because keeping that stationary blade on screen means you're technically decreasing the number of Metal Blades you can throw. I also don't have footage for it because I wasn't able to do it myself. That's how precise it is. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 21 of which are weak to Metal Blade, most of them dying sooner than if the Buster was used, or is just naturally suited for that enemy. These include Batons. These enemies can easily swarm you from above, if Robot proves to be too tanky or the enclosed area doesn't give you much room. Thankfully, Metal Blade saves the day, in addition to doing good damage against the Robots. Once the egg of Ko-Pee-Pees hatch, they sprawl out in many random directions, which makes them hard to kill with most other weapons. Metal Blade's big weapon size and aiming helps keep you safe, particularly in Crashman stage and Woodman stage. Flyboys can be annoying if they start flying around in big numbers, as they have 5 HP, a scary amount if you're not good at mashing. Metal Blade one-shots them on top of covering all of their attack paths. Although Kaminari Goros take 1 damage to Metal Blade, some of their placements make it easy for Metal Blade to snipe them sooner than any other weapon. The Jellyfish robots, M445, dominate this narrow spike corridor. Metal Blade in this section eliminates the need to jump and shoot them down, keeping you safe from getting close to the spikes. Although Monkings take 1 damage to Metal Blade, you can easily kill them as they first cling onto the thin platforms. This renders you completely safe from their advances. Pee-Pees are very fast with dropping their eggs, but that doesn't matter to Metal Blade when you can make sunny side up out of them instead. Squirms are often placed below the Buster's reach, and each of their appearances can be annoying if you only have the Buster. Metal Blade rips through both them and the pipes they create. Shrink can be overwhelming with their big numbers and constant spawning thanks to Anko, but Metal Blade one-shots them. Really, Bubble Man stage is a lot safer to go through if you pit Metal Blade against most of the unique enemies there. Tellies are a no-brainer. Enemies closing in from all angles are perfect for a multi-directional aiming weapon. It is especially useful in Wily 4, where the Tellies will be creeping up in more uncomfortable spots. Next up is Air Shooter. You get this from Airman, firing a trio of air-powered tornadoes. These tornadoes rise up to the sky and spread out from each other via inverted parabolic arcs. Not only does this make it very effective against airborne enemies, but it is also great for doing shotgun-esque damage and hitting all 3 tornadoes on one enemy to do 3 hits. However, you need to space yourself properly from the enemy, because if you are too close when firing, the enemy keeps glowing until the rest of the tornadoes leave, an indicator that only 1 hit was dealt instead of the expected 3. By costing 2 units of ammo, you normally have 14 uses of the weapon before you run out. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 13 of which are weak to Air Shooter, most of them dying sooner than if the Buster was used, or is just naturally suited for that enemy. These include Hotheads. They get one shot by Air Shooter, as in just 1 tornado, no shotgun spacing needed. This is very useful, as Hotheads otherwise have 10 HP. Claws come down along the top of the waterfall, and while they are patternized, they can knock you into a pit if you're slacking. Air Shooter is the quickest at dispatching them, and if you shoot it ahead of time, you can take them out immediately. Flyboys also get one shot by Air Shooter, and the weapon's trajectory keeps you safe from their advances. If Metal Blade is not available, use Air Shooter. The M445s are slow with closing in on you, but that makes it great for Air Shooter to cover them. The returning Sniper Joe is very beefy with 10 HP, and Metal Blade is no stronger than the Buster against them. Air Shooter can do 2 damage per tornado, which means 6 if you shotgun space it. Do it twice, and that will be the fastest way to kill Sniper Joe without having to button mash another weapon. Air Shooter is also devastating against their armor mechs. With 20 HP, a fast jump, faster shots, and immunity to Metal Blade, they are terrifying enemies. But not to Air Shooter. The armor will break in 3 hits, so a well-spaced shotgun blast kills the armor instantly. Tellies only have 1 HP by comparison, but Air Shooter can still clean them up if too many are piling together in one area, particularly in Heatman stage. Next up is Bubble Lead. Obtained from Bubble Man, this weapon fires a heavy bubble that rolls forward on the ground. It has a small arc when shot in the air before plummeting down, and the bubbles can scale down walls if they roll off a ledge. Up to 2 bubbles can be on screen at a time, and by costing half a unit of ammo, you normally have 56 uses of the weapon before you run out. This also means you can do the same pause trick as with Metal Blade to have infinite bubbles, but it's not as viable. The grounded nature of Bubble Lead also makes it the only weapon that can detect fake floors in Wily Stage 4. If you do not know their locations by heart, using Bubble Lead is very important as they do not have a telegraph otherwise. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 10 of which are weak to Bubble Lead, most of them dying sooner than if the Buster was used. These include Hotheads, and although it takes 3 Bubble Leads to kill them, it's more cost effective than Air Shooter. 3 bubbles is also enough ammo to take them out before they start attacking. Kaminari Goros die instantly to Bubble Lead, and despite the weapon's short trajectory, you will always be close enough by passing them to land the shot and steal their platforms. Neometals only have 1 HP, but Bubble Lead always lines up with their pattern. In Crashman stage, Bubble Lead can be used to arc onto the Met's upper platform and kill them. You don't even need to jump, and the shots fly over your head anyway. It's also an important weapon for the first Met in Wily 4. Step forward a bit and shoot, then immediately retreat to the ladder to be safe. Returning Sniper Joes die in 5 hits to Bubble Lead. You best want to use it when you have the high ground and can safely snipe them from there. Robbits are allergic to bubbles and die in 3 hits. This is especially practical in the descending section where they start out below you, giving Bubble Lead an advantage. Springers stay rooted to the ground, so naturally, Bubblehead is great at taking them out. Next in line is Quick Boomerang, the main weapon of Quickman. A small boomerang-shaped cutter is fired in a very low and quick arc before looping back under. These boomerangs move at rapid fire speed, and holding the button even gives them auto-fire capabilities, but it has more shallow range to compensate. The difference between this and Rolling Cutter is that Quick Boomerang's trajectory is always independent of Mega Man's position. Up to 4 boomerangs can be on screen at a time, and by costing an eighth of a unit of ammo, you normally have 224 uses of the weapon before you run out, one of the most cost-efficient weapons in the entire series. This makes Quick Boomerang benefit the most from that pause trick with having infinite boomerangs, but with over 200 of them, you definitely won't need it. Quick Boomerang is also the only weapon that can damage every enemy in the game without worry of dinging off of immunities. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 15 of which are weak to Quick Boomerang, most of them dying sooner than if the Buster was used, but also being the most practical enemies to use Quick Boomerang on. These include Big Fish, a fascinating specimen that was normally supposed to be immune to all weapons, yet here we are. Big Fish are pretty slow, but they deal a lot of damage with their bites, so you should bait them to jump and then kill them with a Quick Boomerang. Karogs are bulky with 10 HP and have miniature frogs to distract you. They are also resistant and immune to most weapons, but Quick Boomerang does 2 damage to them. The arc makes it easy to hit them too. As Quick Boomerang is good against the parent Karog, same applies to the petite Karogs. The arc is able to hit them as they're resting on the floor. Normally they are too low for the Buster to hit at ground level. For returning Sniper Joes, Quick Boomerang is the most cost-efficient way to take them out, and arguably the fastest. 5 boomerangs are required, and fast mashing will make a mincemeat out of the Joes. Same goes for the Sniper Armors, also done in by 5 boomerangs. If a situation does not allow for proper air shooter spacing, Quick Boomerang is an excellent substitute. We're halfway done with the weapons. Next one is Crash Bomber. Obtained from Crashman, this bomb is a special type of flight injection time bomb launched in a straight line. The main perk of Crash Bomb is it can latch onto surfaces for a small time frame before exploding. Said explosion does not cover very much radius, but lasts for a good while and can multi-hit enemies caught in it. Crash Bomb does not explode on direct contact with enemies, however, instead hitting once without the explosion, and pierces through anything that it kills. If an immune enemy or protected spot is hit directly, the bomb explodes on impact as a form of dinging. Another perk of Crash Bomb is its purpose as wall destroyer, being the only weapon that can break distinct walls. Only one bomb can be on screen at a time, and by costing 4 units of ammo, you normally have 7 uses of the weapon before you run out. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 10 of which are weak to Crash Bomb, most of them dying instantly to the weapon, or are vulnerable to a multi-hitting explosion. These include Blocky. When he's first hit, he throws out his segments in a spread attack that's pretty tight to dodge. Crash Bomb is one of the few weapons that can skip this behavior and kill Blocky instantly, and it has the nice bonus of actually exploding Crash Bomb on impact. Kaminari Goros also get one shot by Crash Bomb, so a direct hit will make for a quick way to kill most Kaminaris. Atomic Chickens are naturally tough to kill. They have 10 HP and make a sprint from right to left. Most weapons just do 1 damage or even ding, but Crash Bomb is the only weapon that can reliably one-shot them. Unless you're saving it for Woodman, use the rest of your Crash Bombs on these chickens. The Fan Fiends don't die instantly to Crash Bomb, but the first one is close to the edge of its platform, so Crash Bomb can be placed on that wall to set off a multi-hitting explosion. Don't try to do this for the second Fan Fiend, because you'll be leaving yourself wide open to the peepees. I learned that the hard way. Pyrobots are pretty straightforward enemies, but some setups are trickier than others. Crash Bomb is the only weapon that can one-shot both the gear and the clown together, and if aimed properly, you can take out both in one shot. Robots have a huge weakness to Crash Bomb, getting one shot by it. While using up a lot of ammo, it's the quickest way to kill them. Tanishis get obliterated by Crash Bomb. Both their bodies and shells are destroyed together by a single shot. A few valuable goodies in Wily 2 and Wily 3 are specifically locked behind walls, meaning Crash Bomb is the only way to access them. These include Wily 2's second 1-up and second E-Tank, followed by Wily 3's E-Tank. Next one is Time Stopper. You get this from Flashman. It's an unconventional weapon in the sense that it doesn't hurt enemies. Rather, it's a screen nuke that appropriately stops time, immobilizing everything on screen from enemies to gimmicks, letting you bypass them easily. However, Mega Man cannot attack while time is frozen, nor can he switch to other weapons while it is active. Time Stopper can only be used once, and the length of its duration is dependent on how much ammo you have. As such, each usage of Time Stopper requires some technical knowledge ahead of time. The more you understand the stages, the more opportunities that will open up for this weapon. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 9 of which can be exploited by Time Stopper. These include Claws. Using Time Stopper on them will keep them from falling down past the ceiling, so they'll never be a danger. For Flyboys, Time Stopper can be used on the ones in Heatman stage and Crashman stage. Using Time Stopper will let you walk under them safely and evade all combat. Hot Dogs normally cannot be skipped. They have an invisible hitbox that prevents you from running past them. However, if Time Stopper is used before entering their rooms, they can be skipped, as they haven't teleported in yet to trigger that hitbox. The weapon doesn't have enough ammo to skip all 3 of them, but you can skip 2 of them. Because Monkings have to jump from the bottom of the screen, Time Stopper can be used to let you walk right over them without retaliation. Petite goblins are actively spawned from their parent goblins, which are big platforms that can also bring up drills on the sides of their heads. Time Stopper will halt both the drills and the petite spawners from working, allowing you to cross over the goblins without worry. PPs can be stopped from dropping their eggs, and this is very useful in sections where their eggs can be overwhelming, like in Woodman stage or Crashman stage. Gimmicks that can be taken advantage of using Time Stopper include conveyor belts and presses. Time Stopper will disable these traps and let you rush past the press section scot-free. You theoretically could use Time Stopper to keep these bubble platforms in place, but it's better to save it for enemies like Claws that endlessly fall down. Force beams are the biggest selling point of using Time Stopper in a level. Disabling the movement of instant kill lasers that move at high speed is a very valuable asset, especially if you still struggle with making quick turns to dodge them. The stage even rewards you with the big weapon energies that you can only obtain safely if you have Time Stopper active. Next in line is Atomic Fire. Obtained from Heatman, this is one of the earliest cases of a weapon that doesn't function like its boss's attacks whatsoever. In the case of Atomic Fire, this is a chargeable weapon, also the first in the series. Like with the charged Mega Buster in future games, Mega Man's glowing aura and sound effect dictate the current state of charge. Normal shots have a blue aura, half charge has a green aura, and full charge has a white aura. Regardless, all charges release a straight fireball packed with explosive energy. Normal shots use 1 unit of ammo, half charge uses 6 ammo, and full charge uses 10 ammo. Thus, a full ammo bar has the capacity of 28 normal shots, 4 half charge shots, or 2 full charge shots. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 7 of which are particularly vulnerable and die instantly to a full charge Atomic Fire. I do know Atomic Fire kills way more enemies, but the practicality of killing something like Atomic Chickens, for example, is so negligible it's never worth it. The 7 enemies of which include Anko. The shrink that it spawns may cause trouble for you as you charge up Atomic Fire, so it's best to charge just outside Anko's field of vision. Then, when you're ready, jump into battle and release the attack to defeat Anko. In a similar case with Crash Bomb, Blocky's gimmick of throwing his body parts can be completely skipped by hitting him with a full charge Atomic Fire. Hot Dogs are very tough with 20 HP, but Atomic Fire has the nuclear capacity to kill them instantly. However, you will only have enough ammo to kill 2 Hot Dogs instead of 3. Best to save it for the latter 2. For Karogs, Atomic Fire is best used on the ones after the Ankos, as their petite Karogs will stand on the ground with the parent Karog, letting you hit more enemies with Atomic Fire and possibly getting more goodies out of it. While returning Sniper Joes are best dealt with using other weapons, the first Sniper Joe in Wily 4, as in the one without an armor, can only be bypassed without taking damage if atomic fire is used to kill him preemptively. As the ceiling is too low for you to dodge the shots, this is the only way he could be killed before he gets to fire a shot. Sniper armors are a big target for atomic fire, immediately being disabled by it. Generally speaking, it is better to use atomic fire on the armors than the Joes themselves, as the Joes have more weapon weaknesses across the board to use. Last weapon is Leaf Shield. Obtained from Woodman, this creates a barrier formation of 4 leaves to encircle Mega Man. Once activated, the shield will stay until it hits a stronger enemy that tanks the hit, or until one of the 4 D-pad directions is pressed, at which point the shield will fly off in that direction. Thus, you can aim in 4 directions, though Mega Man cannot normally move with this shield or else will fly off. However, Leaf Shield doesn't use weapon energy when activated, only when launched away. Although Leaf Shield doesn't block projectiles, weaker enemies that get killed will not absorb the shield, so this can be exploited to farm goodies off of them. By costing 3 units of ammo, you have 9 uses before you run out. Out of the 30 enemies and mid-bosses in the game, 19 of which, in particular, are vulnerable to Leaf Shield. These include Anko, who dies in 3 hits from Leaf Shield, but it needs to be aimed precisely so the bottom part of the shield hits the antenna. If you aim too low, the shield will ding and you'll be vulnerable to shrink attacks. Using Leaf Shield against co-PPs is one of the best ways you can use Leaf Shield, period. You are completely safe, and the birds will keep killing themselves trying to get through the shield, giving you many goodies in the process. Especially useful in Airman stage and Crashman stage. Although you cannot revisit stages in Mega Man 2, it is funny enough of a mention that Leaf Shield can one-shot hot dogs. I don't remember why, but I think it's because if enemy damage values aren't configured, it defaults to a set behavior, and in the case of Leaf Shield, it's dying instantly, which lines up with all the other unique enemies in Woodman stage. Although Fan Fiends die in 3 hits to Leaf Shield, which is admittedly pretty costly for the weapon, you can easily get that ammo back thanks to the ever-spawning Pippies nearby. Moles like to spread out and cover many areas of the ceiling and floor. Without a good weapon, they are tanky at 5 HP and tricky to step around. Leaf Shield one-shots all of them and will keep you safe, especially on the conveyor belt in Metal Man stage. Leaf Shield not only rips through the Squirm and their pipes, but you can also use their never-ending spawning to give yourself a way to farm for goodies. Crazy Cannons are wild enemies with their trajectories often getting the drop on you. Leaf Shield is the only weapon that can consistently one-shot them. Shrink are like co-PPs and will keep killing themselves trying to penetrate your shield. Just make sure you land your shots on Anko so you can put up a new shield quickly and keep yourself safe from the Shrink. Springers get one shot by Leaf Shield, and as long as you have it equipped, Springers will never be able to rush through that shield. Same goes for Tanishis, and their shell also gets destroyed by Leaf Shield. It's a more cost-efficient weapon to use on them than Crash Bomb is. A good trick with Tellies is to use Leaf Shield on the Crash Lifts, found in both Crashman stage and Wily 4. As long as you stay on the platform with your shield up, the Tellies cannot touch you whatsoever. Now for the utilities. First up is Item 1. Obtained as a bonus after defeating Heat Man, this lets Mega Man create platforms right in front of him. These platforms levitate off the ground and strictly move upwards at a slow speed, giving Mega Man room for vertical movement. Up to 3 platforms can be on screen at once, and by costing 2 units of ammo, you have 14 uses of the utility before you run out. It is required in the Wily Castle, specifically stages 1 and 4 with Booby Trap. Stage 1 is a high up ladder you need to reach, and you want to start creating platforms from your ladder, then spacing them out appropriately as they rise. Be on the edge of these platforms as you make new ones. When it comes to enemies, Item 1 can let you skip past both Anko and Blocky if you really wanted to avoid fighting them, though it is a bit rough trying to do so for Anko. For gimmicks, the main usage is with the lifts in Crashman stage. You don't have to wait for them and can immediately book it to the ladder. You can use it to get on top of the goblins sooner without having to wait for the drills to go away. You could also theoretically use it on the bubble platforms to give yourself a safety net. For valuable goodies, Item 1 can get most of the ones in the Robot Master stages easily. In Metal Man stage, you can net both the 1-up and second E-Tank. Any item can grab the first 1-up in Quick Man stage. You technically don't need item 1 to get both the E-Tank and 1-Up in Crashman stage, but it does make things easier for you, so you don't have to backtrack all the way down or make a scary jump. In Flashman stage, you could grab the 1-Up at the beginning, or the E-Tank if you're all the way at the bottom and want to get up there. The E-Tank in Wily 4 also requires item 1 or item 3, but make sure to use Bubble Lead for the fake floors. Second utility is item 2. Obtained as a bonus after beating Airman, this creates a jet sled platform in front of Mega Man. It stays in place before revving up to its top speed and flying forward. Once item 2 is sent out, it cannot be stopped until it goes off screen or hits a wall. As item 2 is in motion, it will gradually use up ammo for the duration of its time in play. Only one platform can be on screen at a time. It is required in the Wily Castle, specifically stage 2 where you have to cross a large spike gap. It also contains a famous alternate path that you'll never take if you're going in blind. If you hold off on grabbing the first ladder you see and wait, you can take a second ladder for a guaranteed E-Tank and 1-Up, along with another E-Tank and 1-Up if you have the Crash Bomb ammo for it. For enemies, you could skip Anko much easier than with item 1. You can also skip the Atomic Chickens, but the way you do so is from the ladder. You put out the platform, then hitch a ride just before it leaves, and you can evade all the chickens this way. For gimmicks, you can use item 2 to skip bubble platforms and lifts in the same way as with item 1. The most popular use of item 2 is in Heatman stage. Before the long gap of lava, you can use item 2 to skip the final Yoku block section. I also recommend grabbing that 1-Up, though there is one block that will try to cuck you, so you need to time your item 2 to get past it. For goodies, item 2 could get most of the goodies that item 1 can obtain, with the exception of Heatman's 1-Up and Wily 2's special stash being item 2 exclusive. Last utility is item 3. Obtained as a bonus after defeating Flashman, this creates a platform that bounces forward until it touches a wall, in which it becomes an elevator that Mega Man can stand on. It rises by default, but if Mega Man jumps off of it, it will descend as long as Mega Man doesn't touch the platform again. Item 3 will only disappear if Mega Man either fully brings it to the top of the wall, or let it sink all the way to the bottom. Like with item 2, it will gradually use up ammo for the duration of its time in play, and only one platform can be on screen at a time. It is required in the Wily Castle, specifically in stages 1, 2, and 4 with Boo Beam Trap. The former two have a tight gap only item 3 can snugly fit through, and this also lends item 3 to easily grab the 1-Up in Wily Stage 1. As far as other goodies are concerned, item 3 can only get a few of them. Any item could grab the first 1-Up in Quickman stage, and having item 3 on you does make it easier to snag the 1-Up in Crashman stage. So there you have it, an overview of each weapon from Mega Man 2. The more I play this game, the more I find myself having fun with these weapons. They're each very creative in the context of Mega Man 2, and no matter the quality of their overall performance, every weapon has its own set of uses where it can shine, its own set of enemies they can easily dispatch. Now, I will say this weapon set isn't perfect, because some of the weapons are really hindered by the immunity system of dinging off the wrong enemy. That, single-handedly, can discourage players from wanting to experiment. But to that, I say, just keep playing and learning. I said it in the beginning, but for each enemy in the game, there is an answer on which weapon or weapons you can use. Now, let's wrap things up with a nice bonus section for some fun. Here I add some subjectivity to the mix and make a nice quick ranking of Mega Man 2's arsenal on its own. It's loosely founded on my opinion, but the general performance of the weapons do most of the talking here. So let's have one last hurrah. Metal Blade would go in number 1. It's no contest, probably the de facto weapon of the entire classic series from how overpowered it is. These giant buzzsaws are very easy to use. They eclipse the Buster in size, are spammy, and cover every direction around you. The blades are very strong too, killing many enemies instantly, or at the very least doing a lot of damage. Even if the blades only do 1 damage to an enemy, ammo consumption is very low, so low you're never going to run out. Enemy drops are very common as well, so stages that normally don't have goodies, like Airman stage, Bubbleman stage, or Woodman stage, can still keep your ammo healthy. All in all, Metal Blade remains a very accessible choice for casual players, while veterans will know how to fully maximize its potency and use it in tandem with other weapons for the best results. 10 out of 10 overall. Air Shooter goes into number 5. Although it tends to ding off many enemies, it has very good anti-air capabilities, and the shotgun spacing is what really puts the weapon on its own 2 feet. It rewards precise shooting by doing the max number of hits instantly and letting you shoot that same shot again right away. It feels like a high-risk, high-reward kind of playstyle. Makes the weapon much more fun to use than it would be without it. 7 out of 10 overall. Bubblehead drops down to number 9. This is probably where the weapon immunities hurt the most, and poor Bubblehead just can't catch a break dinging off of everything. That said, Bubblehead does have strong attack power against the enemies that it works on, enough to distinguish it from other weapons, and its utility in Wily 4 is clever, but still. For the amount of ammo Bubblehead has, it is solemnly used in the grand scheme of things, and many of its enemy weaknesses overlap with other weapons. 3 out of 10 overall. Quick Boomerang bumps up to number 3. I like to call this one Old Reliable. In having even more ammo than Metal Blade and not dinging off of any enemy, Quick Boomerang is very consistent and, well, reliable. The short range doesn't matter too much in horizontal scrolling sections, as Quick Boomerang reaches the edge of the screen anyway. Although it has less notable one-shot kills than most other weapons, and in my opinion, not as fun of a weapon to experiment with, Quick Boomerang still covers a favorable area and gets the job done. 8 out of 10 overall. Crash Bomber is number 8. There are some clever ways Crash Bomb gets used as a wall destroyer, like for accessing easier shortcuts or for specific goodies. Outside of that, this is a weird weapon, with its explosion not being the primary way of doing damage. Yes, you could stick it to a wall and kill the enemy that way, but most of the time it's better to fire it directly in the hopes that it one-shots the enemy. If you can't do either of these, the weapon is never worth using on an enemy, as it costs way too much ammo. There's also the misleading mechanic of using the explosion as the indication of an immunity, which just feels like a kick in the face. 4 out of 10 overall. Time Stopper is number 4. If you say this weapon sucks, then you clearly haven't played the game enough to understand its full potential. Its limitations don't matter if you can work around them and still get utility out of the weapon as intended. Every Robot Master stage has at least one area where Time Stopper can be used to great effect, skipping many gimmicks and enemy encounters. Even if it has the mentality of, you only get one shot at this, that one shot can still make a huge impact. 7 out of 10 overall. Atomic Fire is down at number 10. It's best to treat this weapon like an absolute nuke that should only be reserved for the biggest baddies. However, that also means that Atomic Fire gets the least usage out of any weapon. Its ammo consumption is very extreme, and anything weaker than the full charge is not worth using. There are also some enemies that will just ding the full charge but not the other charge levels, and it's so strange. That leaves Atomic Fire to be the most situational weapon in the game. 2 out of 10 overall. Leaf Shield is high up at number 2. Now this is amazing. Although it uses 3 ammo and doesn't block projectiles, the weapon never ceases to impress me. The shield itself is a huge hitbox, and even with the limitation of it flying away as you walk, you can work around that. So many enemies get killed by Leaf Shield or take a lot of damage, and ammo doesn't mean much when it's really easy to farm that ammo back. There's so much fun to get out of this weapon, from one-shotting enemies to protecting yourself from the small packs and getting so many goodies out of it in return. 9 out of 10 overall. Item 1 would go smack dab in the middle at number 6. It's definitely the best utility in the game with giving you so much vertical height. It can nab almost every utility exclusive goodie in the game, and you can get creative with some enemy and gimmick setups too. 7 out of 10 overall. Item 2 is just below at number 7. This one isn't too far behind and arguably has the same amount of versatility as Item 1, but its functionality is a bit more restrictive. Still, Item 2 is home to some of the more iconic skips and secrets in the game, a few of which Item 1 can't even pull off. 7 out of 10 overall. Lastly, Item 3 is dead last at number 11. There are almost no situations where Item 3 and only Item 3 can prove itself. Adjustable wall climbing isn't a bad idea, but the level design never does anything with it when Item 1 already covers pretty much all of its bases and more. Outside of the required areas in the Wily Castle, you'll only be using Item 3 in the Robot Master stages if it's the only utility you have. It's that useless. 1 out of 10 overall. Well, that's it for the video. My weapon guide for Mega Man 2. If you like what you saw, consider giving a like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment if you have something to say, and as per usual, check the links in the description if you want more out of my channel, including my own Discord server, DeMontropolis. I hope this guide will prove useful in helping folks get better at Mega Man 2, and even take a jab at playing the game in a different way. With that said, I'll be signing off. Take care, folks.